Hi guys, I'm here with Bob. He just got sixth place and the fifth juror, and he was just voted. Hi Bob.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so my first question for you is: did you expect your vote out? Did you expect the way it went, etc.?
Um, I didn't until about 30 to 45 minutes before the vote. I got a little suspicious because everything suddenly went quiet, which is strange. And so I thought I would prod Courtney a little bit by like jokingly asking her if she voted for me, but I felt good about her answer. And so then I thought like, oh, I can curry favor with Courtney if I tell her they're going to try to flush her idol, but don't play it, which, would have been a good play if my plan was actually in place, but obviously it wasn't. So,
So it was, I believe it was a 4-1-1, if I check. Yeah, so it was a 4 to 1 to 1. So what happened with that? Why were there two ones? Do you know the other person who didn't vote for you?
it was Milo. Um, okay, so a few days ago, Wes approached Milo and I about, sorry, Milo and me, about working together and possibly bringing Chris in to try to do a split vote here at the final six, like a 2-2-2, to flush out Courtney's idol and then take out Brandon on the revote. Um, and my biggest concern with that plan was always whether or not Chris would be on board. Um, but the thing I guess I overlooked was Wes. I don't know if it was really a long con on his part, like because this was, like I said, a few days ago. I think it was before Final Seven immunity even finished that he started talking about this. So like, it, either it was a really good long con and Wes is an awesome player, or for some reason he decided to flip last night, probably based on Chris refusing to go along with the plan. But yeah, Milo and I were left in the dark, so it is what it is.
Okay, so kind of following that, what would you say your biggest regret from the game is?
Oh, biggest regret. Um, just maybe not being as social as I usually am. Um, I knew this was going to be my last org, so um, I just came off of a final two loss, so I was trying to adjust my game, and I think I maybe over adjusted because usually I play a very social game because I'm terrible at comp. And this time I was just thinking like I'll make big moves every chance I get. Like I don't care who I burn, I don't care what side I'm on. I just want to like actually go out with a blaze of glory and have like a resume to talk about if I got to the end because that's what killed me before. Um, so like part of that was just on an emotional level detaching myself from the game because I tend to play these games in a way where I make people feel like actually emotionally invested in our relationship. Um, but I didn't want to do that this time because when I do that, I hurt people. For example, Will seems pretty hurt by me, and that's because I kind of did that with him in an act of desperation to save myself right before the merge, and then basically stabbed him in the back the very next chance I got. So, like, I don't like doing that to people, and I don't like having to do it to people. So I just really did the bare minimum on my social game, I think. I mean, still better than most people probably, but yeah.
You did win most social and touchy subject, so
I
so
never
go.
read that.
You never read the answers.
I never read them because people always make excuses for why they made them, and they like. I just don't care. I don't care what you write. I always try to do alphabetical order unless there are like stipulations, or if I can make a private list.
So you won who was the biggest social threat, who was the hero of the tribe, and you and Milo both tied, or not tied, but you both got who would be the first to die in a horror movie. And you also got who was going to win immunity. They said you or Courtney.
All right, these people are fools if they think I'm going to be the first to die in a horror movie. I think I'm the only one who's like actually hunted, so we'll see about that. Um, No,
Good
those
to
are
know your
interesting.
survival.
I didn't know people thought so highly of me. Interesting, I guess.
So going off what you said about Will, I did want to touch upon the last pre-merge vote with Shrub. It was a Wednesday majority, and then you and Chris, and Shrub went home. And you kind of mentioned your play with Will. How did you not go home that round?
Um, so I don't know if I was going to go home. I'm still unclear about whether or not it would have been Chris or me. And I think I said like that was probably the only time I really turned my social game on. And I guess you have to go back to the vote before that because there's a lot of backstory to that vote where when Courtney was kidnapped with our tribe, somebody, I assume it was Shrub, tried to lead a like cross tribe alliance and brought in Courtney and Chris as like the two people on our island at that time who, or at our camp at that time, who would be like the OG Shira representative. And Milo caught wind of that plan or was included or something. So he brought it to me, and we really tried to lead a charge to save Vic at the previous vote because I really liked Vic. He had a similar time zone to me. So like him and Milo were the people I could talk to the most on Wednesday 2.0, and I wanted to keep them around. Um, and I didn't have any reason to not trust Chris yet. So in my head, it seemed like we had three votes between Vic, Chris, and I, and then Milo would be our fourth. Very straightforward, very simple. And for some reason, Chris was telling us that he was going to do it, but he was telling Courtney and Milo that he wasn't going to do it. And at the very last minute, I realized he wasn't going to do it. So I voted Vic out to like not be in the minority. But obviously, like Tommy and Will found out that I was trying to take part in flipping that vote onto, I believe, Tommy at that time. So I had to like really step up my social game to recover from that vote. And also, Vic was so mad at me. I don't know why Vic was mad at me. That still irritates me. That Vic called me out on his goodbye message. Like, I did everything I could to save him. I waited until the last 15 minutes to vote. I'll talk to him later. Anyways, so I knew that Tommy and Will must have caught wind that I was trying to lead a vote against Tommy. So I just turned on my social game for like a day and a half and, didn't talk too much game with them, but made them feel secure with me and basically threw as much information at them as I could about the Cross Tribe Alliance and like Chris ratting it out. I didn't put any blame on Courtney because I didn't want to throw her under the bus. But for some reason, I always assumed that vote would just land on Chris. And then at the last minute, I think I was leaving hockey or something. Like Will came to us and said he wanted to lead a blind side against Shrub instead. And I figured it was just a good opportunity to have other options going into a merge, and to like guarantee my own safety because in my head it was like 75-25 Chris was going home versus me going home. So I jumped on board to get that vote through, but I knew I wasn't going to be loyal to those guys. And I know that's why Will feels so betrayed because I did really like lay it on thick right before that. And then I just cut ties as soon as I could. So it was brutal.
Okay, so kind of going off of your biggest regret, a little bit more positive. What's your proudest moment of the game?
Proudest. Um, hmm. Yeah, I really don't know. It would have been last night if it would have went my way. Um, I don't know if I have like any really proud moments. I think the most exciting was the vote I just talked about. That was probably the most fun I had with it. Um, I don't know. I think the thing that I was most proud of was just watching how much Milo kind of grew throughout the game. Like I didn't share it much in my confessionals, but him and I talked so much every day. Like our messages went on forever and ever, and just to see like the way his progression of thinking went and like how he, I don't know, thought on a more strategic level as things went out. Like I was proud to see that kind of growth and felt like I had a part of it. But obviously we weren't that good if we both got left out of the last vote.
That's so wholesome, though. Okay, so this is a little bit of a stinger one, but obviously you came no, you came third in immunity. Actually, I'm wrong. I was gonna say you were 5 points off, but that was Brandon. But you did come third in immunity, so kind of did you expect to need it? Like, were you gunning for immunity, or was it more of a you did well?
Oh God. So I think I mentioned it on my way out, but I just started this like really intense user experience design course, and I haven't had much time, like free time at all. But entanglement is like my jam. It's my favorite org game of all time. It was my first ever org immunity win almost a year ago now. Like that's my game. My best score in entanglement is like 340 something. So I know like I love that game so much, but I just didn't have time to play it more. And I thought my targets would be like pretty open. I thought I had a lot of choices, so I wasn't too concerned with who won immunity. And actually, Wes won, so it was even better. In hindsight, maybe Brandon winning would have been better because I would have been more on my toes and not as comfortable with that move. But no, I wasn't gunning for it. But I know their scores were not that good. I've gotten a better score in almost every time I've played that. So yeah, I should have tried harder. But I only played it like 4 or 5 times. So
Real life can be really painful. Okay, so who do you think has the best shot of winning the game? And but if it's a different person, who are you rooting for?
ooh, I'm gonna root for Milo, of course. He's my dude. He didn't vote against me. Courtney did, and she preached that her game was all about loyalty days and days before this went down. So like, I don't know what her brand is. I don't. She's really gonna have to tell me a story whenever we get to final tribal council because I think I made the comparison, the Big Brother comparison, but they're basically Nicole and Cody marching to the end. Like they've never had adversity in the game. They were swapped into a majority. They came into the merge with a majority. They've never broken from their alliance. They're playing the most like boring OG game of all time. So like neither of them. They're so bland. They haven't done anything. They don't even strategize. Like I don't get it. Um, Wes, I think if he gets there, he wins. Especially like reading some of the other Ponderosa comments, I think Wes has a really good chance of winning, and I'd be happy with that. Chris, honestly, like I tried so hard to get this kid out of the game, but I just underestimated him because I really thought like I can get him anytime. And I should have known. I really should have known. I never trusted him ever since he flipped on that Wednesday 2.0. But if he gets to the end and he's not sitting next to Wes, I think he has my vote because like he's made good game moves. He's flipped when he's had to. He's been involved in everything. So like good on him. If Milo gets to the end, I don't know if he can even win. He's got an uphill battle because I don't know if anybody saw his game as well as I did. And I know from playing that type of game, it's really, really hard to explain. From his perspective, it's going to be even harder because on paper, it looks like he stays true to his tribal lines a lot. So, like, yeah, he's going to have a tough go at it. But, yeah. That, yeah, there you go. You've got my rankings. It would be like number one, I'll vote for Wes. Number two, Chris. Number three, Courtney. Number four, Brandon. Number five, Milo.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to kind of bring up or mention? But I have one more question for you after this, but it's kind of like the closer. So if there's anything you want to like mention or bring up, like just go ahead, feel free.
Uh, just I'm really glad I played in this one. Like, even though it didn't end the way I wanted it to, it was a good way to close out the whole like org experience for me, because I don't think I could have handled another final tribal council anyways. It would have been so intense. And yeah, like I'm appreciative that you reached out to me, because like there was a period in the summer where I was getting denied for all these games and I just couldn't understand why, but you were like the only host to actually give me like an honest answer and like remember me. So I'm grateful for that. And I don't know, the experience was fun. I liked everybody I played with. I just, like I said, I didn't want to get too emotionally attached to anybody, because I was trying to be ruthless. I was trying to have some fun for once. That's all.
I'm really glad you enjoyed the game, and I'm really glad you played. Yeah, because you applied for last season, I believe. But
Yeah, and
we
I
had a
couldn't make
lot
that
less.
manga thing
Oh, the
for 2.5
mangas.
days. It was ridiculous. I never got the email, the confirmation email.
Oh, it
Oh,
never sends it for me. I just screenshot and like done. Yeah, and then but we obviously had so much fewer, and then you reapplied for this season. We're like, yes, of course. Okay, so my last question for you is going to be word association. So I don't know if you've seen the other interviews, but I'm going to go through everyone left in the game. Just give like a short phrase or a word, the first thing that comes to mind when you think of them. Um, so when you're ready, Brandon,
humble,
Chris,
sneaky.
Courtney,
Oh, Courtney. Likable, but also unlikable.
Milo,
Prodigy.
and Wes.
Great father.
All right, thank you so much for joining me, Bob, and thank you so much for playing. And I will see you again for the final Tribal Council and the reunion.
Sounds good.